Welcome, friends, to the Soul Talk podcast, a show where we explore and uncover the path to the heart, amplifying your conscience. Join me as we meet incredible souls who are in this journey and learn from their experience and different methods that will make you vibrate your heart. Let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. This is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and thank you for being in Soul Talk. And today we have a very special friend that we have worked together in zoology and as a podcasters. And let me tell you a little bit about Ana. That thank you for being here with us. I really, really appreciate your accepting my invitation for Soul Talk. And well, Ana Toothman. Anna brings a fourth balance, positive and wise energy with every guest, representing the mother energy and her calming and compassionate nature. That you're gonna feel it, guys. She's also host of Authenticity podcast, and she's intuitive way shower and crystalline grid keeper. Anna, thank you so much for being here with us. I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Monica, and for that beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Beautiful one. How do you started in all this into the path of transformation and ascension and all the spiritual parts that we all human beings we go through a process?
Yeah. Gosh, that's such a huge question because I remember like 2010, 2011, just really the field expanding in my sensitivities and awareness, right? It felt like everything was reversed so that I could bring alchemy. And I remember almost everything I was experiencing was highly attuned and sensitive to everybody and how they perceived me. All of a sudden, I was very tapped in.
But did something happen to your life? Because the majority of the people that wake into this path, it goes in different process, or there was a big sickness, or a death, or they have a rebirth in a way in so many levels, or grieving, or some trauma, or something happening to their lives. Just the minority that I have encountered is they just automatically wake up. But that's the minority. The majority of us, it was from a big trauma and pain and illness or whatever process that we went. Do you pass through something like that, or how was yours?
I did not. I didn't have any major traumas or anything that occurred at that time. But when I was a young child and we moved from Portugal to the United States, I'm sure that was very, traumatic for many of us who've come from a different place here. Early on, when I was either 6 or 7, I was privileged to witness a UFO really close up outside our home. And that was shortly after we moved to the United States. And that never left me. And the fact that nobody believed me.
Yes.
And it had to be suppressed. And so it stayed with me. And then, all of my life, I searched for answers. So it's something within me that has always been there until humanity caught up and it became more normalized for us to talk about these conversations. So I had been highly sensitive and attuned since a child.
I do agree with that. I have a similar experience, and in that time we did not even have computers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not, you cannot see the grace and so popular now that you can find it in Google, you can find it in movies. It was like very common. I believe in that time it was only the movie E.T. as the only
Mm-hmm.
one out. And that's the more closest that we can get to extraterrestrial life. We did not even knew about the Lyrians, the Pleiades, and all these beings, the beautiful beings that they exist. So yes, I do agree. And a lot of times that was the activation that we were needing to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
just to observe it or see it or feel them. And
Yeah,
maybe that's what happened to you.
perhaps. Yeah. And so I was always searching for, of course, as soon as I had a computer, early, and then when computers first came out, I was doing research on anything I could think of. And when I was young, being from a religious background, I remember as a child having this confusion around this God that we were being told and Jesus. And I knew there was something right because there was too many different religions, and so much of what was being taught would contradict their actions. So you would be listening and being taught about love and the things in the Bible, and yet what was being experienced was the opposite of what they were teaching. And so it left this space almost of emptiness, of something wasn't right. Something didn't make sense.
I do agree with you. There is a lot of contradiction
Mm-hmm.
about conditional love, but let me judge you, or let me control you,
Mm-hmm.
or the oppression of the women that comes in the religions too. And it's very contradictory about what it is really acceptance and unconditional love to other human beings. So the people that the Bible says in a way, the ones that have the ears they can hear, and the ones that have the eyes they can see. Not everybody have got to the same conclusions as we did, and but in a way we did, and we're here for a good reason. And some of us, we remember our mission, why we're here. Do you remember yours?
I had an experience in, I would say, I think it was 2014 or 2013, and I had my inner dragon eye awaken. And then I had my Merkaba activate as well in 2014, which then expanded even my field of awareness and connection. I had already been through my search, I had found Lisa Transcendence Brown. Back then, I found Think With Your Heart, which is now New Earth Institute. I found Sandra Walters early on, in 2012, 2013. So I was being guided from then, which assisted, meditation, going inwards. And then, of course, depending on what your role is, if you were, a lot of us were doing lineage work. Some of us were, we were doing all the above. And a lot of my service work was behind the scenes. It was in the astral planes. I was trained in Black Ops. I was trained in multiple ways to be able to do some service work that needed to be done to assist with the mother's energy coming in now. And so I've been on several missions that I haven't spoke about that assisted on a multi-level way. And so that is hard to explain, because at the time, I don't know that I was aware, and I would get snippets and images of my service work when I would go to sleep. And then I would get confirmation afterwards. And so I know that I've been doing this for a long time. And, a lot of it had to do with facing some of the darkest energies that existed here on this planet.
Yes, I do agree with that one. But some of our viewers might wanted to know a little bit about how do you feel the dragon eye opening in you? What is the physical aspects that you?
Well, so that would have been, I think, 2013. I had just laid down, and when I closed my eyes, maybe, started to go into that space, an image of what a dragon eye literally looks like appeared in my inner vision, and it scared me. And I immediately said something like, what's not of mine or anything that's evil, you please leave this field, my sacred space. Immediately I thought it was something wrong, that something was trying to come into my field, when it was me that was opening.
I wonder, do you saw it in your physical body, or you saw it outside? Because I saw it outside. I saw it
here. in here, in my physical body.
Okay, I can see that. In my case, it was different. I saw it reflected around there like a fog, but you can see the eye closing and opening.
Oh yeah, no, I was actually in here.
Okay.
So I'm assuming I was opening the dragon aspect of myself.
Yes. And what are the abilities that you have? Because we all have different abilities. Everybody is activating in one way or the other, and we develop in one aspect or other aspect. What are yours?
I seem to be doing in working in service with the crystalline grids of the fifth dimensional and higher dimensional realms at the moment. And how
do you do that?
So as soon as I go into meditation, I start working with an advanced technology, which is a form of light language. An example of how it would go, because I have my screen on, you may not see, but it works with the field of the energetic field. So I assume what I was working on here had a lot to do with the throat chakra and the way and the frequency that's coming out my voice at the moment.
With sacred also geometry at the same time.
It's very sacred in geometry. And one of the things as well, thank you for reminding me of that, is that through some of the work that I do is connected to the star consciousness. So bringing and connecting to Ursa Major, which people call the Big Dipper, the Pleiades, Lyra, Andromeda. And through that, when I sun gaze in the morning, I act as a prism. And so the light comes to me, and I'm able to, through that sacred geometry, I'm able to send it out. And also right now, bringing it into the earth, below my feet, working with deep, deep core of the ocean. So it's very fascinating how it's expanding at the moment.
Do you get messages when you channel, or it's just codes?
It's all codes.
Oh, codes.
At the moment. And I feel like as I move into March, many of us will have more of an understanding of what we're doing and what our roles are exactly and what mine is. I feel like it has to do with the sun discs. July of last year, I was doing some sun gazing at sunset, and I thought, okay, well, that's enough. And I went back in, and then I could hear, go back out. So I went back out, and something appeared in my right eye and was sacred geometry. It was a circle, and then it twisted around and then implanted in my right eye. And I was told that it was a solar disc and that it was to assist humanity. And so I find now when I'm doing the sun gazing in the morning that I'm working with these sun discs, and that's going to develop more this year. And so, I may have to get on different parts of the land and activate different stargates. I have a feeling.
When I feel that you're being connecting with some galactics. That's how they told me that they don't like to be called ETs. They like to be called galactics.
Mm-hmm.
And since you were a little girl when you moved to the story that you were saying that when you came to the United States before then, that's when you saw it. And in my experience, what I have noticed with them or what they have told me, the people that they have appeared to us is because we have a contract before we came to this plane or planet that we were going to be contacted in one way or the other. We all have different experience, the ones we've been contacted, and it's different for everybody. It depends with who also we have the contract. With Galactics, we have the contract. Do you know which race do you come from? Because I know mine comes from my higher self. It is Pleiades.
Yeah.
And
my first incarnation or birth was from Arcturus.
Mm-hmm.
And in my first lifetime was in Arcturus. And then now I'm connected to Andromeda.
Yes. We all have different lives in different planets, so we have knowledge of different ones.
Yeah.
The majority, not all. But so your last one is more from Andromeda.
Yes, and it has appeared to me. It came to me in waking state as a giant light blue being, ginormous, in front of me. And I realized it was me in my higher state.
So, how do you help people with your sessions? Do you do sessions, or how do you do it?
I have never done sessions. I feel like we all have different roles, and that my role is just working more with, I do it by proxy when I'm around friends and family, and I do guide my friends in intimate, close relationships. And if I do sessions, I'm sure that I'll be made aware of how to do that, but it's mostly been grid work.
There are many, yes, you're totally right. We all have different missions. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And I used to work in the grid at the beginning. That was, well, not at the beginning, but about 15 years ago. And then my process changed because we're always changing at the same time. So whatever we're doing now, we cannot say I'm gonna do this forever or in this plane because it may change.
Yeah.
It might change.
I was made aware in 2019 that I would be doing and working with what we call ambassador stations. Mm-hmm. That I would be somehow connecting to an ambassador station, and I have seen my consciousness there. A part of my consciousness already resides there. I was taken to that place and what it looked like. And so I do know that moving forward, it has something to do with intergalactic and fifth dimensional or higher holographic. Holding that field up is part of my role as creating, not only creating the foundation of it, but being able to project it forward and to stabilize that as we move through it.
And what do you think about the disclosure? Do you think the disclosure is gonna appear like it was predicted about 10, 15?
I feel like the disclosure is us, and by us having this conversation is disclosing the truth.
Yes, because they're not gonna present themselves. They already tried to present themselves to the governments, and they have blocked them. So that is not gonna happen like we thought it was gonna happen, or what many people still wishing to happen. That the governments are gonna say, "Hey, we have new members in this planet that they're not Earthlings directly." And but yes, I agree with you. I do agree with you that they're already coming into the people that we are open to it.
Yeah.
And that's part of our mission, to give the message from them and to open up. I am an ambassador, and so I do talk about them all the time. So like that, the people are less in fear with them, because all the systems at the same time are gonna fall down.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think is gonna happen to the persons that are not open to the galactics? Or there's some people that don't even believe in them still. That I don't even believe how, but there are many people that still don't.
Well, I feel like everyone has a choice and is playing a role for humanity at this time. So, I mean, those who don't choose, it's coming from a soul level choice. They're choosing not to ascend at this time.
I do agree with that, but ascending, it is not a place. Ascending is a state of conscience.
Sure, it's a vibration. It's a merger where you take the higher and the lower and merge into one. So when we raise our vibration and consciousness enough, and we're able to bring the above and below into 0 point.
And at the same time, understanding different realities that later before we couldn't understand.
Sure.
But my question is, what is going to happen to because a big part of, even if Gaia already ascended to the fifth dimension, there are human beings that they're still in the 3D, and there's humans that they're in the 5D or higher.
Sure.
We're still living in the same plane. That's why we can see wars happening or different things playing at the same time.
I would explain it as in multidimensional, Monica, because there's a version of us who already exists there.
Mm-hmm.
So Monica's fifth dimensional self is there, and Anna's, and those that have chose this path. And how I understand it and have this inner knowing is that as you raise your vibration in consciousness, your point of perceiving changes. You're already there. You just match the frequency of you there at that moment. And that fifth dimensional plane is. It is just tuning, that's all. We're just tuning into a higher state. And so that part of us already exists.
Hi everyone, this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. And if you have been feeling stuck where you are right now, or if you have felt that you cannot connect with others in the same language or the same emotions that you're feeling, If you're a coach, a healer, energy worker in any of those branches, maybe this is for you, because we have felt the disconnection for the rest of our family, friends, that we cannot connect to them. And we're so afraid to actually go deep dive when we're getting triggered by our own clients, because we're seeing our mirror image with them. My name is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love, and that's my spiritual name. And I take clients from feeling confused and feeling stuck to feeling free, to feeling that they feel empowered from themselves. I created a system, Path to the Heart, that goes in 3 levels. And the first level, it is healing the inner child, healing the parts of us that we've been so afraid, or it's very painful to do it. I have done it myself, not only with me, and I have done it with many of my clients, that I take them to this process. The second level, it is to go more into inner self, clearing the family lineage, to breaking the contracts and vows, learning deeper more about the laws of the universe. And the third level, it is learning how to channel, how to do waking up your and getting online your gifts, your unique gifts that the world so much needs right now. So if you wanted to know more about this, I am eager to show you and to teach you all what I know that I use every day in my life. So thank you for being here in this page. I really appreciate it. And this is Monica Ramirez, the Warrior of Love. I agree with you. I do agree with you. I'm just concerned about the people that are not open to it, because let's be honest, that's the majority. Where if the ones that we live in galactics and we are already expanding our conscience and doing the inner work, we might be 1,000,000 people. There is more than 1,000,000 people in the planet. And those are the ones that I am worried about them, how they're gonna present themselves, or how they're gonna observe life different when the galactics actually land. Let's put it like this.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of us, right? A lot of us who are well aware of who we are and what we've been doing are preparing ourselves for the masses who are going to have questions. They're going to find people like yourself and me and many others who are on this path for guidance. And that's why we can hold that neutrality and that 0 point field, so that when they're ready to ask more questions, we're available. Everything that you're doing, Monica, is setting everything up so that you're ready to assist those who are going to have these questions.
Yes, all our lives is being prepared for what is coming at the next
Correct.
second.
Yeah.
Every magical gift that suddenly I know a new ability, it's like, okay, what do I do with this? And then a client just show up that he did precisely what I just learned how to discover in me that I just have. And so we're preparing ourselves for everything that had come.
Yes.
So now how do you think this is gonna be presented in your for you to moving forward in what are you doing? Do you think you're gonna continue doing the grid work, or how do you gonna be using it?
I think I will probably be gathering with those who do the same, connecting with those who are doing grid work, and usually I get guidance to go somewhere, to a river, to the forest, just and be there. And I have this knowing that I will probably be working with other gatekeepers and grid workers as we move further into 2024. And so I'm just going to follow that inner guidance. Wherever I'm guided to go, that's where I'll go.
Yes.
Again, I think it'll be more clear after the equinox that we have a big shift coming. I know for sure.
It feels like the Lion's Gate is gonna be way more powerful this year.
Right. We have a shift in April and we have a shift in August.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It already feels the energy coming.
Sure.
And not even arrived yet. So yes, we are gonna be feeling a lot of changes in the conscience, and people are waking up even if they don't want to admit it. They still seeing things from their eyesight in the sights. They start hearing things. They start feeling things, and they're going right away with the doctors, and it's like, okay, what is going on with me? My nerve system is broken or something like that.
Yeah.
And they cannot find explanation for the illness that they're having, that of course are not illness. It's just ascension, it's just waking up the whole senses, like you described it at the beginning. Then you start describing your symptoms of your body changing and everything changing at the same time. And what else do you do into the multidimensionality aside of receiving the codes and working with the grids? Because
I would say just
there's something else in there.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a strict spiritual practices, I do meditate twice a day. I do my decrees every day religiously, I take my oath very serious. And I work with this advanced technology within me so that I'm able to use it out there. First I had to develop it. So I spent a lot of time developing that technique within. This last spring, Monica, when we went through that equinox, I was able to see the rainbow body activation. And so, it takes a whole year cycle. So I know the rainbow realm is going to be available through this spring in a physical way versus, so we're bringing all that we created, our gifts that we're able to do on a cosmic level, we're bringing it into the physical level now. And so some of my expanded gifts that I've been able to do the last, 10, 15 years was so much up there, right? We say up there, but it's worlds within worlds. Those gifts I've perfected so that I may use them here as an embodied reflection of source. And how that is going to play out, I'm sure, like I said, it's going to become much more clear to many of us.
What do you think it will be the symptoms? Because I ask you again the symptoms because people can recognize that. Our viewers can recognize that in themselves. So that's why I ask you about what would be the symptoms for them. So like that they can recognize when it's happening to them and they don't have to run immediately to the doctor.
Oh, sure. I mean, you're going to feel physical discomforts in the body. Your eyes go blurry, from headaches to blurry vision to aches and pains. From when I was doing a lot of anchoring as an anchorer and a conduit, my ankles would swell, in 2016, 2017, from 14 on, there was a lot of swelling. Then I lost a lot of weight, then I had a process where I was birthing realities and I gained some weight. There was, and I don't know that people realize when you are releasing trauma or you're releasing things that are within you, you experiencing them as they leave. So the scenario will represent itself so that you can shift the outcome. Some of our past experiences, if people saw reality as an algorithm, that algorithms come back around for you to try again to bring 0 point to that situation. When it comes to our family, it has to do with who, it depends who you are and where you contracted to do that.
I wanted to ask you something that I noticed right now in this conversation, that there's the 0 point. It have a different meaning for different people. That 0 point. It is not the same for everybody, or we might be talking about the same thing, but in a different language. So, can you explain it to the people that are hearing or seeing the podcast, so like they can, we all be in the same page and we can understand it better?
Sure. The best way I can describe it is, everybody's seen the graph where it starts at 0 and then it goes +1, +2, +3, +4, or it goes -1, -2, you know, when you're looking at a mathematical graph. 0 is the center of creation, where it began. And so when I go into the 0 point field, that's what I mean, that we just bring it back to center, that you're neutral, that you're not too far to the right and you're not to the left, that you're center.
Okay.
We're all of it. And so you stay here.
I'm glad that I asked, because I did have a different concept, or how I call it, a 0 point. It is very different than that, or it's a, or maybe it is the same, but it's a different interpretation. What I call it, it is the point where it is no time and no space.
Sure.
And it's where everything can be created at the same time in there.
Right.
That is or other people know it as the void. So it is where source energy resides inside of us and connects directly with source energy. That's where the creation of everything can be created, or disintegrated at the same time.
Sure. We're talking about the same thing.
Yes. I'm glad that we clarified this for the people that
Sure.
are, so like that they have more grasp on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you something that I have encountered in this path since more that I started embracing 15 years ago who I was and working in this field. I had a lot of problems of acceptance of my family and friends. So I have to let go many people in my life because of honoring myself. I was needing to let go of many people. How is being for you since you wake up and you're the dragon eye? How was that experience for you since that happened to you?
I've never shied away of being who I am. You know, I've always shared openly on Facebook with my friends and family. I always left it up to them. You know, of course, some of them rejected what if I tried to talk about these things with them. And so I would stop. But I never stopped being me or sharing the information. And I left it to them to desire to search it if they chose to, or to read what I shared on, on Facebook, or, if I mentioned anything about galactics or spirituality. And judgment or non-judgment, if I talked about any of these things, there was always presented with resistance at first. I did not let go of friends and family. What I did do was go inward more. And there was a time where I spent a lot of time at home. I would go to work and come home. The inner work takes some time to do your shadow work and to do all the things that to have you look at yourself. When it comes to friends and families, my friends have changed, I would say, but that's because we've shifted timelines too over the years, and they were part of my old life. But they're still my friends. We just don't tune into that. I don't visit that area, where we used to meet for drinks in the afternoon and have, cosmopolitans or a glass of wine. And together we would talk about our day and our work day and our kids and our family.
Yes.
And so I decided to make new friends, to venture out and not to be afraid. And by doing so, I met some of the friends I have now that are on this awakening journey. Along the way, I had friends that I talked to on the phone, that are part of Sandra Walter's groups or the New Earth Institute groups. And I've met several of them in person. So everything has been online mostly, but I started making connections where I live.
I do agree that I believe at this point I have more friends far away from me than in the same city where I live.
Yeah.
For the same reason. Because it is easier to be me without trying to, let's put it like this. If sometimes my Pleiades will show up and I morph, and when I morph, not everybody locally are gonna be, oh, I see your eyes different. You scare me. you know,
Yeah.
your face is or your skin is changing,
Sure.
and I cannot help it because that's who I am. And so it is easy for me to have friends that accept me. It can be far away, than but not the local ones, because of that reason.
Yeah.
We're gonna be morphing more and more. The ones that were star seeds, we're gonna be morphing more and more. I know I'm not the only one that morph
Oh,
one.
I see it within myself. Yeah. There was times I didn't even recognize myself over the years. I've changed so much.
Yes. And we're gonna continue morphing, and one day we are gonna show up our true self, and so it's gonna be impactant for the people that are around that they're not have completely are. And I believe that is going to fully accept us for who we are and letting go the human in a way without leaving it completely, because we at the end we experience we choose to be here as humans.
Absolutely.
How do you think that is going to play out when that happens?
They're going to ask questions. I think that the vibration of the planet is raised to enough frequency right now that they're more accepting than they have ever been and more open. And so they see it within me when I'm out. My color does change, my hue, my eyes, they will get lighter. And a lot of code is exchanged through my eyes when I make eye contact. People realize that. They realize that we do change. They're going to want to know. A lot of people ask me why I look so young. And then I explain to them, I'm 52 years old, and if I dyed my hair, it wouldn't be as obvious, but the part of the process of embodying our higher selves in form and reconnecting to source again is true vitality, and that decay isn't our true state of being, that we are. I haven't taken any medicine, I don't know, since forever. I don't take ibuprofen or Advil. I don't go to the doctor. I was chosen as one of those to not to, so that we could set that blueprint for people to know that the body can heal itself.
Yes. Yeah, I am a true believer about that we provoke ourselves the sickness, that the sickness are psychosomatic, because I experienced that in myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a true believer that we can also heal ourselves. If we provoke one thing, we can undo it too.
Mm-hmm.
But it is going to require inner work to know why we provoke the sickness to start.
Yeah, it's so true. When it's believing in your bodies, we believe in our bodies again, Monica. We believe that we can. And when we have that faith and trust, that I've been very sick over the years. And I've even had such chest pains that I swear I was having a heart attack. But I didn't go. I chose to stay home and just knew that whatever I was pushing through was to push me further into my process of trust and faith.
Well, I surely I have taken a bunch of medications when I was sick with lupus, sorry, and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a high blood pressure, and I do take medication for that. And I feel that I also provoke that because I tend to carry too much weight on me. And we all have different process to doing that.
Yeah.
And even if we take a medication, because to all the viewers and the spectators, we are not doctors. We cannot say
Oh, right.
what
No,
is.
I'm not saying don't stop taking your medicine. That's not what I mean. I'm saying my role was that of it's almost like we're trial runs for humanity, right? Let's say that I was asked to do something to see if we could.
Yes, and we only can experiment in ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it was an experiment for me,
Mhm.
as an oath. Part of my journey was to see how far I could push the human body
Yes, but
to heal itself.
that is a risk that we were willing to try by ourselves, by our choice. So
Correct.
so you guys make your own choices and do what is feels best for you. We're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna remove the doctor factor because we're not medical doctors. We just experimented in ourselves.
Correct.
So we did. And we're not
Yeah.
trying to have a magic wand that we can heal anyone in that way because there is no such a thing of magic wand in
No.
that way. Just to clarify with all the spectators. But yes, I do believe that the basis of all the problems that we all have comes and we tend to sabotage ourselves, and that's how we provoke ourselves the sickness at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
consciously or subconsciously. We we bring it
Well,
on.
you have to remember too that depending on where you are on your awakening and embodiment journey, there, when you feel flu-like symptoms, or it's what Lisa Transcendence Brown used to call frequency light upgrades. And so when we are burning off things from the physical body, from toxins to aluminum, metals, we sweat it out. We do the number 2 out. We'll throw up. We will do whatever it takes for those things to come out of our body to cleanse. If we maybe didn't do a cleanse or whatever the body, your unique signature of who you are will guide you in that way. And whatever is best for you is what I would advise, is to listen to your intuition, those who are listening, and let the body and your heart guide you on what's best for you.
And even for all the majority of the trans channelers that they are outside, they're here listening, we tend to have different releases. Let's say you can fart, you can burp, you can, or you can. I that's I crying is not the word, but you can have some teardrops or every a being comes to you,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that is normal. That's part of clearing and cleaning and elevating the vibration to the point that we need to be, so we can be a better, clear messengers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, it has been fascinating to talk with you, and is talking about the galactics is one of my favorites. Talking in the higher planes is also, it is one of my favorite themes always to talk about, because not many people wants to be so open and talk about the grid work or the crystalline light and the upgrades that the human beings are going. Thank you for doing this.
Of course. I am excited to explore this even more with you and come back and share any insights that I receive in the next few months.
Yes. Do you feel that there's something uh, that they have told you about something coming, an upgrade or something like that, beside of the new eclipse that is going to be changing?
The upgrades are going to be within us. We will, many of us will be moving into new realities. And so I'll leave it at that.
And if we are aware, to add to what you just said, if we're aware, we're changing in timelines constantly.
Yes.
We are not aware when that is happening, because we're not aware the majority of the time that we're in our body. So if we're aware about the changes, you're gonna realize that probably the dress that you were wearing red yesterday, it might be blue this time.
Yeah.
Or the door was in one side and it might be a window now. So if we become aware of our reality and where we are, we're gonna realize that we changed to a different timeline. And that is happening to everybody, consciously or not consciously. The ones that are aware or not, it happens to everybody.
It's subtle, because there's sometimes, if you're aware of your surroundings, it could be as driving down the road and seeing a new building or a home that wasn't there on your drive that you drive every day. That's one, have that awareness that you have shifted into a different timeline. For me, it varies from things like that to how I look in the mirror. It could be subtle things. Pay attention to the most subtle things that change in your reality moment to moment.
Even from the same things that you write. Sometimes you open a notebook that with your handwriting and like, when do I write this?
Yeah, so true.
So yes, just it's an invitation for everybody to become aware about yourself and of your surroundings, and realize how much you have grown from where you've been and where you are now, because it is going to be very different in a few months or in a few years than where you are now.
Yeah. And you can always reach out to me on Facebook or on Instagram. You can find me under Ana Toothman. And just send me a message. And Monica as well, that many people moving forward are going to be asking questions. And we're here to assist on many levels. So feel free if you have any questions to reach out to me, Monica, or those who are listening.
So if you
I'm
want,
also on YouTube.
yes, you can find her in YouTube, or you can find her in Zoology in her podcast Authenticity. And I highly recommend it to follow her. And where else they can find you? Is the Zoology and in YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, and yep. And I belong. I'm a member of the New Earth Institute. I'm a member with Sandra Walters and AscensionPath.com. I do have my hands and feet in many things around the world and connected to many brothers and sisters, so that when I get the go, that I know how to contact all of you.
It is really been my pleasure to have you here, Anna. I really, really appreciate you. And thank you for all our listeners and viewers. We really appreciate you for being here. And if this helped you, please give us a like and share it with your friends. You might find out that, hey, you might have some more friends that you thought that they're believing in all these galactics or multidimensionality or dimensions that we will talk today. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.